So, you're a career diplomat, and given your long and distinguished experience in diplomacy, so where do you think is the Indian engagement with Africa particularly headed? We're all familiar with the Americas, with Europe, old relations, and with some part of Asia. We have had a look East Asia. Now, sir, given the fact that China and a whole lot of other people are exploring Africa in a very systematic and a very sustained manner, where do you see India with all its bonhomie, with all the support that we've given to the African countries, the fight against apartheid, the fight to get them decolonized, etc., over the years, 20, 30, 40 years, ever since our own independence? Why aren't we able to capitalize on that and advantage and turn it to an economic benefit for us?
Well, I think we have very huge advantages in terms of our relationship with Africa. There is a vibrant Indian diaspora which is a part of Africa. There have been cultural and historical links which are identifiable between the Indian subcontinent and Africa. And since you've asked this question, I can reveal that at one time in my career, I was Joint Secretary in the External Affairs dealing with Africa. Now, the question, as you have rightly put it, is how, in a modern context with changing priorities, how do we capitalize on the historical and cultural links of the past to a more dynamic economic and technical interface with this great continent? I think a lot is being done, Raghav. A lot is being done in terms of bringing in precisely this element. Sometimes one of the mistakes we make is to always have a comparison with, for instance, what China may be doing. But these comparisons are not always fair, nor are they objective. I think our relationship with Africa is on a far more enduring basis. It's not a run by night operation. It's based on achieving long-term and enduring results. And today, there have been several very important initiatives by which we are strengthening our economic, commercial, and technical links with Africa. And I think that's a very significant achievement of our foreign policy.
Would the Indian government, which is now ready to pledge aid, linked to and credit lines of credit linked to greater Indian and African business coming together, do you see this grow over a period of time?
It is bound to, because growth is linked to opportunity. And opportunity is discovered by a systematic desire or attempt to discover them. And we are good at that. We are very good at that. After all, even the diaspora, which is Indian diaspora, which is there in Africa, went as impoverished slave or indentured labor at one time, but they have done well because they have been able to seize the opportunity. We will seize the opportunity in the mutual benefit of both Africa and India. The progress may appear to be slower than in the case of Africa's relations with some other country, but if you ask me, it's one of the success stories of Indian diplomacy.
Sir, you are the Indian ambassador to the Kingdom of Bhutan. Where do you see India and Bhutanese relations going, given the amount of hydroelectric potential that Bhutan has, the fact that we are already starting to have power links with them implemented? Where do you see the entire India-Bhutan relationship going ahead?
I don't say this because ambassadors are often accused of suffering from localitis, which is to be completely overwhelmed by the milieu they are in. But purely as an observer, a writer, and a diplomat, I see the India-Bhutan relationship as it exists today to be, in many senses, a model relationship. Between a large neighbor like India and a smaller country like Bhutan, we have been able to build an enduring bond of genuine friendship, affection, sympathy, empathy, and respect, which is based on the fact that there is a mutuality of interest. Now, take the example that you just mentioned of hydropower. India is committed to buying 10,000 megawatts of hydropower from Bhutan by the year 2020. Now, this requires us to invest or be partners with Bhutan in 10 mega hydropower projects. It is a plan which is being implemented not only in time but with great planning and dedication. Now, why do I say mutuality? Bhutan is benefiting from this investment because hydropower is like white gold for it. It needs the revenues and will definitely, once this plan is implemented, become in terms of per capita the richest country in South Asia. India is likely to be power deficit until more than the foreseeable future. They need the revenue, we need the power. We are exploiting a non a power through an instrumentality which is a natural resource, but very consciously without damage to the environment through run of the river projects. So both countries are linked through a very identifiable mutuality of interest. And I think you can't have a relationship between two countries where there could have been so many areas of friction out of sheer lack of application of mind on how to nurture such relationship. In the case of India and Bhutan, that has not happened. All I can say is that neighbors are not fiction. They are a reality. India has to deal with them. And I believe once again, with a combination of vision and imagination and endurance, we have forged uh, the same degree of mutuality of interests where all the countries around India realize that in some way uh, enlightened partnership with India is of benefit to them and of benefit to us. That perception is gaining ground, but it's not an easy job. It's not an easy job because, as I said, there are inherent problems in a relationship based on equality and mutual benefit between a very large neighbor and a smaller country. So it requires persistence, but I think we are on that road.